This is the base we were staying at. It's called Al Minhad. It's in the United Arab Emirates. It's about 2 miles long and about a mile wide, the whole thing. You can see the main runway, a parallel taxiway, and then on that side of the picture, there's a road that ran the whole length of the base. In the upper left corner of this is where the tents were for the officers and the hooches, and then about halfway down the field is where the tent city was. That next morning at 1:30, we got up, all my guys met in the chow hall, we had breakfast, we jumped in cars, and we started to drive down for our mass briefing, which was down here at the lower left-hand corner of this slide. And as we drove down that parallel road, two things happened. The first was that the folks from Colonel Tom Rackley's 421st Fighter Squadron lit their afterburners as part of the first launch of the Gulf War. The night fighters in the 421st. And at 20-second intervals, as we traveled down that road, they lifted off going this way, one at a time. They accelerated about 400 miles an hour. They pulled the nose up, went straight up so avoid SAMs off the end of the runway, pulled out afterburner, and then disappeared. And I suddenly realized it was the first time I'd ever seen airplanes take off with no lights on. Because obviously we were darked out for combat. It was pretty sobering. And we're halfway down this road, and one of the guys in the car with me says, "Boss, look at this." And he points out the right side of the car. Next slide, Fred. This is the tent city that was off the side of that road. That road that's at the bottom is the road we were traveling down going this way. And on the right side of that road, as we came abeam the tent city, I looked over, and thousands of people, the population of this tent city who wasn't working that night, had come out of their tents when that first afterburner lit, and they were standing along this road. They're wearing uniforms. They just got off work. They're wearing jeans. They're wearing cutoffs. They're wearing underwear, pajamas, everything. And not one of them's talking. They're just watching these airplanes take off because they knew what was going on. And the other thing that I noticed immediately was that all of them were somehow in contact with the person next to them. Every single one of them. They were holding hands or holding their arm or had their arm around shoulders or on the back, or they're just leaning on each other. These are people who don't even know each other. But they're all Americans, they're all warriors, and they're all part of the cause. As we rode down that road, I will never, ever forget their faces coming into those headlights and then fading out. It's burned in here.